So I think I actually I filmed a little bit of this movie or one of my other movies. Like, I don't know if it was Ounces to Pounds, or I don't know if it was Think Like a Cop or Diary of a Glad Man, outside of this smoke shop. But it's actually important to the film. As you know, I used to be a stoner prior to quitting, etc. So I'm just gonna do a little something out of here, real style. So I was in the wrong for blaming others for my unpleasant situation, but I did. Which destroyed our relationship, and for that I was to blame. Lieutenant was good to me. She was a good cook and very affectionate. I loved how she would iron my uniform and kiss me on the cheek as she wished me a good day at work before I would start my day. We were a black couple living in the lofty side of town in a city much like the Poconos in some ways. I had my music career and Lieutenant had her grad school. It was summer session when I walked through the door of our apartment with a great big smile on my face. "You're not gonna believe this, Lay." "What?" she must have replied, rolling her eyes. "I found a job that starts at $10.50 an hour, which was $3 more than minimum wage at the time." "What is it?" "I'm gonna be a campus officer." "Are you sure? Campus officer? Don't you mean auxiliary officer?" Yeah, whatever." But anyhow, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna fake like I'm actually buying a blunt wrap. I'm gonna come out so you know what my life was like back in the day when I was auxiliary officer again at PSU or whatever. Alright, so I'm just gonna leave it sitting there. Hopefully, in good faith, nobody will grab my iPhone. Nobody will grab my iPhone. Action.
Where? Yeah, what's it called?
get Optimals at? Nobody sells Optimals around here. Oh shit, yeah. Jamaica Junction. Lieutenant was the kind of chick that would be in your corner no matter what, and I thank her for that. Because the kind of females that I was with in my early 20s were mostly 808 heartbreaks. The kind that have you saying, we want prenup, like Kanye. None that would usually stand by a young black man in a uniform. More like a dope boy, a rapper, but not a cop. I was in my spare room. I was in the spare room working on a hit record when Lieutenant knocked on the door holding a little black baby boy in her arms. Holding a little black baby boy in her arms who she was watching for a friend. Isn't he cute, she said, as I was paying little attention, focusing more to the beat that I was making on the computer. I want to have a baby with you, she said.
Forbes Avenue. What sign is on the cross? Forbes Avenue. Forbes Avenue. What sign is on the cross? Forbes Avenue. Forbes Avenue. What sign is on the cross? Forbes.
Action. Mid-semester had come for Lieutenant as she was getting ready to graduate. I was less prepared for what my future held, and she more so had everything planned out to a T. In her mind, we were going to get married and live happily ever after. In my mind, I was going home to re-strategize my plans as an artist, all the while see my side piece, who I will refer to as Honey, whom I thought I knocked up but was carrying another man's baby. I, who was not ready for a load like that, pretty much shut the door in her face. Lieutenant, ticked off at my insensitivity for not wanting to have a baby with her, caused us to drift away and find interest in other people, to say the least. We eventually ended up splitting up, not before me losing my job, after working only long enough to collect, let's say more so a few paychecks, to return to my life as a stoner artist roaming the cities of the US alone. I believe it was the early 2000s when Amadou Diallo, Eric Gardner, and all the other nationwide killings of black men started becoming a huge problem in the US. In my hometown and the suburbs, profiling was not really too much of an issue. It was not until I moved to the South where I really started to be able to tell the difference. But that was not until years later. It was mid 2003, and really, actually, that probably would have been, it actually would have been 2005, but the script says 2003, as I had to jog my memory to remember actually when it was that I quit the job. I'm gonna wait for this helicopter to come by. Pause. So, in all actuality, I actually quit my job, both jobs, the job at the diner and the job at University Police. I just had to call Human Resources to find out, because you forget whenever shit happens in 2005. So now I'm going to say it like it really was, but reading off the script, bear with me. And it goes a little something like this. Action. It was mid 2005. Well, really, it was March 2000, or no, February 2005. I was called into the office by the boss. Without any hesitation, I was fired for coming into work late. Now, this is where my mind actually starts to work, and I start to actually think like a director. All right, I'm gonna actually say that, like 2003, and then by the end of the movie, I'm going to reflect back from my standpoint now, which is somebody who, it's been 4 years since I smoked weed. So, and me calling Human Resources, and then I'm going to say it like 2005. So you could see the lapse in time whenever you're thinking back with a hasty mind or the mind of a stoner. I believe it was the early 2000s when Amadou Diallo and Eric Garner and all the nationwide killings of black men started becoming a huge problem in the US. In my hometown in the suburbs, profiling was not really much of an issue. It truly was not until I moved to the South that I really started to be able to tell the difference. But that was not until a few years later. It was about 2005, somewhere around February. I was called into the office by my boss. I don't know if I was about to get fired for being tardy, but I'm pretty sure I quit so I could be home in time to see the baby. Improv. Just like that, I went from having a small form of small-time status to being profiled along with the hip-hop demographic that was being pulled over and searched and seized every day. Me and Lieutenant broke up and I was on my way to an interview. I actually was on my way to work. A different job, but let's just say interview. Just as I turned the corner around my block, I ran into Honey. "What's up, Ralph? Where you been?" "Away at school," I responded. "I'm single now, and I'm free tonight." Tonight, she said. "I'm single now, and I'm free tonight," she said. "Oh shit. Yo, what's up, honey?" "Nah, shit. Just on my way to work." "I mean, I guess. But I gotta go right now. So, you wanna take my number? I get off probably like around like 8. Alright. It's 646-831-2095. Alright. Peace. See, Honey was my boy's ex. But when I came home, we started dating. It didn't take long till we hit it off. Little did I know she must have had a side piece on the low, because no more than a month after we started talking, she became pregnant with Hannah. So notice, like in this part of the story, actually, I'm pretty sure in the whole Think Like a Cop series, I refer to the kid as Hannah, but that's not her real name. Now, like when you get the Ounces to Pound, which is the next segment of the 8 million stories, I actually refer to her as Orchid, which is more like her actual name, but neither are her real name. Now we're about to do that from Honey, from the perspective of me being Honey. So imagine I'm Honey and reverse what I just said. I'm going to say to her something that would be reciprocal. So actually, since that is actually the story, I'm going to be coming from this way, because she was coming from this way wherever she was coming from, and I was coming from this way wherever she's coming from. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to include that for integrity's sake. Action. Oh my God, is that you? Ray, what's up? I haven't seen you in a long time. Where you been? Wow. I figured you'd go back to Philly. What are you doing later? You wanna like do some poetry or something? Yeah, hold on. Let me just get my phone. I'll take it down right now. 646. Alright, I got that. 831. What was the last part? 2095. Alright, cool. I'll hit you up after work. Alright. Cut. Would you like to work on some poetry in your studio, as me and her ex used to do when we were still together, when they were still together? Sure, I said. From that night on, we began kicking it. That's when my balls began to feel like a pair of dice that Honey was rolling. Once I became known as Honey's soon-to-be baby father, my life stopped feeling like it belonged to me and that it now belonged to Honey. When in reality, I was about to be a father and both of our lives actually belong to our child now. From time to time, my other boy would pick me up in his car and we would go on blunt rides.
Wait to cross him at person. Wait.
When Honey was pregnant, I was rarely home. Many times I was out of town selling mixtapes in small towns at the malls or local barbershops until the baby came. When Hannah was born, she was a delight in both her mother and my eyes. She made us both strive harder to provide for her so she could have the chance to be something we didn't have the chance to be. Legit. Hey, what's up, my guy?
How you doing, bro?
Hey, you want to buy a CD?
I'm cool, bro. Appreciate it.
Yep. Alright, so I'm not gonna repeatedly do that because I don't want to be in trouble for like standing outside of the store like promoting CDs when nobody even buys them shits anymore. But later on, I'm gonna like give you the perspective of the rest of this movie whenever I read the script at a different location. That was pretty funny. Like, hey, you want to buy a CD? That guy will probably like, what the fuck? Nobody sells CDs anymore. But we're gonna keep it moving to the next episode. When Hannah was born, she was a delight in both her mother and my eyes. She made us both strive harder to provide for her so that she could have the chance to be something we didn't have the chance to be. Legit. Both of us had been petty grinders in the past and had a terrible resume that did not reflect highly of who we were and our ultimate potential. Pause. So Honey was my boy's ex, but when I came home, we started dating. It didn't take long until we hit it off. Little did I know, she must have had a side piece on the low because no more than a month after we started talking, she became pregnant with him. That's when my balls began to feel like a paradise that Honey was rolling. Once I became known as Honey's soon-to-be baby father, life stopped feeling like it belonged to me and that it now belonged to Honey. In reality, I was about to be a father and both of our lives belong to our child now.
What is that?
What's that?
That thing.
I don't know, man.
You don't know that?
Never seen it. From time to time, my other boy would pick me up in his car and we would go on blunt rides. When Honey was pregnant, I was rarely home. Many times I was out of town selling mixtapes at the malls, local barbershops until the baby came. Etc., 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 etc. Cut. We both had strong-minded parents who raised us to be better. But for me, I will have to say that I settled for less. But for me, I will have to say I settled for less. There was a Jay-Z song called Renegade where he talks about his life as a petty hustler. In this song, he talks about, coming to a fork in the road and going straight. That is kind of like what I felt like I did. I came to the point where I had to make a decision to do either right or wrong, and I did both. I did what was right until the things I was doing wrong caused me to lose my job. Then I continued to do little wrong as possible, using what I learned from doing right to keep me safely in the middle. Being a former auxiliary police officer had its perks too. Me being a dreamer, I got to dream about what I could have been and use that to motivate me to strive higher every day. If that's not enough motivation, I cannot overlook the long speeches that I got from my siblings every day telling me to apply for different jobs. Those speeches, although at times got on my nerves, helped me keep my mind open to greater things outside of making hip-hop music. So first I'm going to narrate. All right, begin. So let's see. Those speeches, although at the time got on my nerves, really helped me keep my mind open to greater things outside of making hip-hop music. But for the time being, I was stuck in a relationship with a woman who was playing me for a sucker. I remember her telling me one time that men stick to facts and females are detectives, which very well may be true, being that it took my siblings and my madre to show me honey's true intentions with me. Pause. And that I was just there as a paycheck. It took the mind of a detective, a mind that I did not have at the time, a mind of a problem solver, the mind of a cop. So imagine I'm at this park, all right? For propensity's sake, we'll call it Washington Park. It's not actually called Washington Park, but if I called everything by its actual name, it would be called Washington Park. I'm gonna put it on the ground because from this distance you can't see it. Sometimes you have to think like a cop to realize the greatest crime a person could commit against themselves is not being educated. My greatest problem in life, aside from not knowing when to walk away from my friends, was settling for less and accepting the worst outcome when I could train myself to obtain better results. Plenty of time I suspected Honey was cheating on me, but I accepted it as a form of karma for me cheating on Lieutenant, and not only that, I did not want to believe it was happening to me. You're gonna see by the end of the movie how this movie kind of deals with mental health, PTSD, the things police officers and just regular people go through whenever they imagine somebody's there, but they're not even there. And actually, like they're basically talking to the wind. Kind of like, I don't know, the closest thing I could think of is Forrest Gump, whatever. I don't know, whatever. All right, here we go. Action. So yeah. So how you like Washington Park? I know it's pretty cheesy. I wish my park was actually more like yours, you know, on your side of town. You're actually right. I should be more grateful. I apologize. Oh, it's too fast? Sorry. So I've been thinking, like, when the baby comes, you know, I don't want to be greedy, but you think we can name it after me? Oh, yeah, true story. You know, if you want to name it after, you know, somebody in your family, a male figure or whatever, is better than me, it's cool. What do you mean not like that? Obviously, I'm going to have to find a female to actually fill this role, but it's cool, I already got somebody in mind. So now imagine that I'm her, and you're not going to hear the phrases and the questions and the statements that I was saying to her, but you could put two and two together and imagine that I'm saying it to her when I just told you, imagine that I'm her. I'm going to pause and fill in the blanks. Action. This park is pretty cool, Rayo. What they call this shit anyway? Nice. So, I know, like, you're not gonna, like, totally move me into, like, your madre's house or anything, but, what are your plans, like, when the baby comes? Like, because, I'm getting tired of the house where I'm living at. You got any money saved? Now, this is not at all the conversation that Honey would kind of say or anything like her personality at all. Most of that is just improv. You know, you got to fill it in with something. So this is what I imagine any woman would say if a baby's about to come. Blame it on the heart, not the brain type shit. You got to make a story from different points of view or you're not making a story. making a movie. Okay, now I'm gonna move the camera over there so we can get a different scene. And I'm gonna be dribbling, but you're not gonna see my helmet. And I'm gonna do a couple lines off of my script over there. Action. Pretty funny how rumors get started. Like when I put my camera down, if I was driving by in a car, I wouldn't be able to see the camera either. I'd also think I'm crazy. And not only that, I did not want to believe it was happening to me. Aside from that, I was actually enjoying the experience of being a part-time father. Even though Honey was not as affectionate as Lieutenant in the beginning of our relationship, Honey actually had a sweet side. A way that caused her to win me over almost permanently. She made me feel like the man in the beginning until I started disappearing so much. But eventually being gone so much I could not tell if she was cheating on me or not. I began having trust issues and blaming her for little things that were wrong about our relationship.